So this video is going to be a comparison of YSL La Nuit with the various clones that are currently out, at least from the more popular clone houses. Um, so I have a decant of the original, kind of faded. I'm going to use this, just because I don't want to open. I do have a full bottle I recently ordered, but I don't want to open that yet, just because I have a decant left. So I'm gonna go through, spray the decant, start with that, and then I will be reviewing 3 clones of the original. So anybody who knows, spray on this is kind of bad. It's been there we go. Say it's a little decant, so it's got that shitty ass atomizer on there. But immediately in the opening of this, anybody who smelled YSL La Nuit, I'm sure most of you have, it is a very sexy fragrance. It is very masculine, but it's really kind of limited in its versatility. It's something that really I think could only really be worn on date nights or a setting that you were wanting to smell sexy. I don't know that, it's even that, not the high heat, cooler weather, nighttime, or the winter. You could probably get away with wearing this in the cooler weather in the fall and winter, maybe during the day. But again, it's got that very sexy kind of vibe to it. So if that's not what you're really going for, you might be better off with just the normal ohm version of YSL. Anyway, it does exactly what it's supposed to do, though. It smells extremely sexy. The main note on this fragrance is cardamom. You can smell it. It's very prominent in this fragrance throughout the entire thing. It also has vetiver in it, lavender. You can also smell the lavender very easily as well as some woods. I believe cedar's in it. A few other notes I can't really think of right now, but it's only a handful of notes that are in La Nuit, but they all stand out. You can smell it. So essentially, what you get is a slightly florally cardamom bomb that comes off, kind of woody as well, but it's a very seductive, masculine fragrance. I think personally, it's one of my favorite fragrances, which is why I have so many clones. Also, because I do like comparing them. But one of the original complaints a lot of people have is the newer formulations lack in performance. They don't last as long. Projection sucks. Performance isn't as good. So while the scent is still amazing as it ever was, it doesn't last. For a lot of people, that's a concern. Especially if you're going on a date, you don't want to be reapplying it, periodically throughout. So that said, original smells amazing, hands down. So the 3 I'm going to be reviewing are one from the House of Dapper. It's their formulation. The next is a lot of you, I'm sure, are familiar with. This is Dua's version, Midnight Rendezvous. Had this for a while. It's well macerated. The next one is Ombre Noir 2.0. This is from the House of Alexandria Fragrances. So I will start with the House of Dapper and their version. This one comes in a normal Dapper bottle. Anybody who knows these knows the atomizers are kind of crazy on them. Dapper fragrances, they spray a ton of juice. So I go light on the trigger, otherwise you're going to run through it pretty quick. As you can see, there's a giant cloud. It's great for that reason, but you just go through juice quick. So right after the initial spray, there's this weird kind of, almost smells like a glue stick. It's kind of off-putting, but that's just as soon as you initially spray it. As it starts to settle down as it is now, comparing it to the original is, I want to say, sweeter, and it also has just more depth. Again, this Dapper's version smells good, but it has more of a slightly for lack of a better term, it smells kind of like a gluey, like Elmer's glue or a glue stick kind of vibe to it, but it still has the base of YSL. So it still very much resembles YSL. Um, and, you know, as the dry down comes in, it mimics it a lot more. That gluiness kind of goes away. So it is a good offering. Performance is pretty damn good on it. It's also super cheap. It's $25 for 30 ml. Performance I get probably, I mean, for this type of fragrance isn't bad. Get about 5 hours out of it from Dapper. It does have off of the sillage has a slightly higher vanilla kind of hint to it. You'll get wafts that just kind of smells like vanilla mixed in with it. But yeah, the dry down, they are much closer. So once it starts to dry down, so initially in that opening, it kind of has this weird gluey kind of smell to it, but it quickly settles in, just smelling very similar to the original. The original is just sweeter. You can definitely smell it's sweeter to a pretty significant difference on that. The next one I'm going to try is the Midnight Red of Oz. So, you know, normal Dua, good atomizer again. Not as crazy as Dapper's, but you also don't go through the juices quickly. So this off the opening smells different than both the original and Dapper's. It doesn't smell gluey like Dapper's kind of does in the opening, but it also isn't as sweet as the original. Again, it smells close, but not the same. A lot of people, as far as performance projection goes, claims crazy stuff. You know, I got 8 hours out of it. I got whatever, 12 hours out of it. I don't. Not saying other people don't. I don't. To me, this is the same as, you know, Dapper. I get about 5 hours, maybe 6 hours, which is not bad, you know, given the type of fragrance and the reputation of the original. It certainly outperforms the original on my skin. But it is not some powerhouse. I'm not getting 12 hours. I'm not washing it off of me. You know, it fades pretty quickly. Now, again, like the Dapper's version, the dry down smells a lot closer to the original. The original is still sweeter, but it smells closer. And honestly, smelling them now side by side, I would have to say that Dua's is closer than Dapper's. Dapper still has this kind of slightly gluey smell to it. Now, when it's coming off the skin, I didn't really pick that up, but smelling it off the paper, I am. And Dua's is sweeter. It resembles it more, the original. Performance, they're about the same. Now, price on the Dua, I think it's about $55. You can get it for 15% off all the time, 25% off on a sale, sometimes up to 30% off, depending on how much you spend. So it puts it close. It's still more expensive than the Dapper version. Performance is about the same. Like I said, Dappers are still great. I mean, it's smelling really good right now. And honestly, it wasn't really until I put them side by side that I realized like how different it was from Dua, and even to that extent, how different Dua is to the original. There definitely is a difference side by side, but they smell close. So the last one is Alexandria Fragrances Ombre Noir 2.0. I'll say this. I wore this pretty frequently. I actually picked up a second bottle of this. Performance on this is much better, in my opinion, on my skin than Dapper's or Dua's. I've worn this several times out, and I've never had to reapply it. I could smell it when I came back. It becomes a closer skin scent. It's not a projection monster, but it does last better than the other versions. Certainly better than the original. Okay. So, side by side, Dua and Alexandria smell nearly identical. Very identical. The only thing I would say is, and the original smells different than both of these slightly. The only thing I would say is Alexandria's I get much better performance, and I know people claim they get great performance out of duos. If you do, perfect. I don't get bad performance. It's much better than the OG, but it's just not as good as the Alexandria. In fact, I ended up picking up a second bottle of this because I liked it so much. I think it's the closest to the original. Duos is just as close, honestly. Smelling them side by side. I think Alexandria's might be slightly richer, but they're very, very close. But taking performance into account and price, you can get a 55 mil of Ombre Noir, I think, for $37.99. It's a hell of a deal. Price per milliliter, this is the best buy out of any of these, and the performance is the best. So if I were to rank these as far as closeness goes, these would be very close together. I might give the edge slightly to this because it does smell more rich, slightly sweeter, which so does the original. But they are extremely close, very, very close. Dappers would come last as far as being, close to the original scent. Performance projection, they're all kind of, these two are in the same category, with Alexandria lasting longer on my skin by quite a bit. I went out for a full night. I could still smell the Alexandria. I don't get that same performance out of these. Price wise, Alexandria, if you break it down per millimeter. If you're not doing per millimeter, Duas or Dappers is a good buy. Like I said, all of these are good. They really are. Dappers, just for whatever reason, I get this kind of gluey vibe in it. It doesn't smell as close as these two. And you don't really pick it up, though, unless you're smelling them side by side. So they all smell great on their own. They're all great scents on their own. If I had to choose one, though, it would definitely be Alexandria's, without a doubt. And that's just taking everything into consideration. So honestly, I thought about selling this, not opening it, because I'm so happy with Alexandria's and I know it's going to perform way better. But I've just been holding on to it. I don't know. I'll make the decision at a later date. But anyway, you really can't go wrong with Duas or Ombre 2.0. My fiance does prefer these two over Dappers, but that said, whenever I wear Dappers and she smells it on me, she loves it. So, like I said, they're all good options, and I'm not just saying that. I don't really care. I'm gonna be as honest as possible, but I wear all three. Like I said, if I had to repurchase, though, I'm probably going to go with Alexandria here on out when and if I run out of this. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully, this was helpful for anybody considering getting these clones.